Do. All right, you should be ready to go whenever you're ready.
Okay, this is the December 17th, I believe it is, meeting, 16th, of meeting of the Planning Commission for the town of Hideout. This meeting will be,
Excuse me,
Sorry,
one
go ahead.
moment, may interrupt 1 second. Rachel can't get in.
all right, and just so you guys know, I'm only on the phone because
She's-
I'm having trouble getting on too.
Okay, I'm showing Rachel is in, but she's on mute.
Ah. Okay.
Okay.
There, I
can you
think
hear
she's
me
on
now?
mute. Yeah,
Hey, Rachel.
I'm here.
Okay, so this meeting will be called to order. This meeting will be done via Zoom. It's also on YouTube. The letter stating the reasons why is in the file and can be found online in the packet that's been published. And at this time, we'll take roll call. Rachel?
Give her a second. She just logged back in. She might have dropped,
Okay.
but we just readmitted
Glynis?
her.
Here.
Donna?
Here.
Bruce?
Here.
Ryan? And the chairperson, Tony's here. Rachel, are you on now?
Hold on, let me admit her again. She's trying to log in, so give her one more second. And she's just dropped off a couple times, but she's admitted.
There she is. Hold on. Whoop.
Sorry about that. I don't know why I couldn't get in right away.
Oh, that's okay, Rachel. I'm having trouble getting in too, so I'm only on the phone. Okay, now that we've taken roll call, do I have somebody that would like to make a motion? Does anybody have any questions in regard to the minutes from last month's meeting?
I don't have a question. Oh yeah, Ryan just got in. Okay, I was going to say, it looks like Ryan's just joining. Okay, sorry.
And then would somebody, if there are no questions in regards to the meetings, minutes of the meeting last month, would somebody like to make a motion to accept or approve the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve of last month's meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so then Rachel, aye.
Aye.
Glynis,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
Bruce,
Yes.
Tony, aye. Okay, so therefore the meeting minutes have been accepted. First thing,
Forgot Ryan.
This is
Oh, is
Ryan.
Ryan on
I just
now?
jumped on.
okay,
Yep, I approve also.
thank you, sir. First thing on the calendar, the review and possible recommendation to the town council regarding an amendment to the master development agreement for the Deer Springs community. Thomas, do you have anything to say in regard to that?
Yeah, why don't I walk you guys through this? Let's see. Do you guys want me to try to share my screen? See if this works?
Yes, please.
Let's see. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is for the Deer Springs subdivision. If you remember, this was a a development that was actually approved back in 2018 on August 6th. And at that time, the council approved an MDA, a master development agreement with the developer. Since that time, back in August of 2020, there has been one amendment to the MDA back in 2020. In August, that was primarily an amendment to tidy up some of the phasing recommendations in the MDA, discuss the details of the park and trail improvements, which that amendment defined as completing prior to any COs issued for, or recordation for phase 3, or COs issued for phase 3, the park and trails would be completed. And it also talked a little bit about some of the work that was to be completed on the maintenance building. So that was the first amendment to the master development agreement. This is a proposed second amendment to that agreement. And this one primarily outlines the revisions to phasing, again, that kind of updates where we were on the first amendment to the MDA. And it provides a new phasing map. And I'll show you that in just 1 second so that you are all familiar with it. And it also provides a timeline for payment of the $600,000 that's committed to town. We've got a couple of recommendations in here just to ensure that phasing stays in terms of a sequence, a numeric sequence. And so you'll see here that we recommend just adding a sentence that development activity follow the sequential phasing that is noted on Exhibit B2.2 in strict numeric order. Phase 1, then 2A, 2B, which are under construction right now, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with phase 8 being the final one. Any changes recommended or proposed for this phasing would be approved by the town of Hideout and the revisions to this MDA. And just for clarification, the second one is a recommendation for a date for payment to be made to the town. I think that of the 600,000, 60,000 has already, a payment has already been made. We're just recommending that the additional transfer of the outstanding 540,000 be made to the town no later than February 15th, 2022. Those would really be the only changes. They're really clarifying changes for the MDA. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you. We attached the MDA, or the second revision to the MDA, to the staff report. And you can read that. And if you have questions, ask me. But this is the final phasing plan right here. If you remember, this was phase 1 coming in on Bellevue Way, right here. And then more recently, the Planning Commission and the Town Council approved this piece right in here that takes the development all the way up to Jordan L. Parkway, this road right here. And so 1, 2B, and 2A are the ones that are currently recorded and under construction. They've received final subdivision approval. The next phase, as proposed, would be phase 3, which is in this area right here. And right along the top, this is 248, just for map clarification. And this would include the park as part of its construction activity. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you. I think that Mark Garza, I thought I saw him on here. He is on representing the development team, and he can probably answer more specific questions. There you are, Mark. So feel free to ask either one of us.
I have a quick question. The $600,000, they paid 60. Shouldn't it kind of be attached to when they start each phase? Or was there a reason that you wanted?
Well, I think it was supposed to have been paid prior to now. And so it's kind of been delayed a little bit. And so we could attach it to a phase if you all thought that was easier. It just gets a little bit less clear for everybody, not just the town, but for the developer. When is that owed? Is it owed at, time of recordation? Is it time of building permit? Is it time of certificate of occupancy in that phase? We can certainly clarify it, but we thought for sake of ease for everybody that a date specific would be most appropriate. And Mark can chime in if February 15th is or is not a good date, but we thought that that was a relatively fair date. It put us into the new year before the spring construction started. And so that's just the date that was thrown out.
Just out of curiosity, Thomas, what was the reason for the delay?
I don't know. I think that there's been a lot of issues with regard to, just getting some of the building projects off the ground, materials, COVID. There were just a lot of strange things that were happening in the finance world. I'm guessing Mark can certainly elaborate, but I think it just got delayed.
No, Thomas, you addressed everything perfectly. That's exactly right. And we are comfortable with the February date. We knew that this was coming, and we reviewed the agenda, and we're comfortable with the February date.
Okay.
I have a question regarding the road that leads all the way up to the Jordanelle Parkway. At which phase will that be done?
Sorry, let me go back down. That is, are you talking about this road right here?
The one that goes all the way up and exits onto the Jordanelle Parkway, yes.
Yeah, that's the one that is pretty much under construction now. Mark, what's the timeline for completion on that? Is that yet winter or spring?
It'll be spring. It'll be probably, it'll be May, probably about May by the time we're paving it. Utilities are in, as far as sewer is in on 2A, and we're continuing our way down to 2B. But we're working as much as we can through the winter, but at some point we know we'll be shut down. We'll pick back up as soon as spring breaks, and our plan is to get that road paved by May, mid-May.
And will that end up being open to the public then, or will you be using it for construction to kind of keep traffic away from phase one where people, I'm sure, will be moving in?
Oh, unfortunately, it will be used for a little bit of construction, but it will be public. It will be opened up as soon as the road is completed. We'll be throwing in houses as fast as we can, so it'll be open to the public.
Okay. Well, it's good that it gives us a second exit, out of that area. I like that as soon as possible. And will 2A and 2B be done kind of at the same time, or are you really going 2A and then when that's done, you're doing 2B?
No, they'll be done simultaneously. They're both under construction and will be completed at the same time.
Okay, good.
Does
I'll make a
anybody else have any
motion.
other questions? Well, go ahead, please.
I was just going to make a motion that we got to remember what it's called. That we approve.
Oh, excuse me. I think we're open for
No.
public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, do we have anybody that is online that would like to ask a question in regard to this? Okay, there'll be nobody, then we will close the public comment part of in regard to this issue. Would somebody like to make a motion to give a positive recommendation to the town council to accept this?
I move that we approve the second amendment to the master development agreement for Deer Springs.
And that includes Thomas's recommendations, correct?
The second amendment is Thomas's recommendations,
Oh,
correct?
okay.
Yeah, so it'd be the second amendment. We've got a couple of recommendations, some additional sentence structures down here just for clarification. So if you would just include those. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Does
second
anybody
it.
second that? Okay, then we will put that to a vote. Bruce,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
and Tony's a yes. Okay, therefore, it'll be a positive recommendation to the town council to accept the changes to the second, to this for the, in regard to Deer Springs. Okay,
Thank
number
you.
2 on the agenda. Review and possible recommendations to the town council regarding the final claim Phase 3 subdivision. Thomas,
So,
where do we stand on that?
so this project or this subdivision, we're going to continue it to a date certain to the next meeting and hear it at that time. It was received pretty late last week, and we want to make sure that TO and our team has sufficient time to review it. We've discussed that with the developer.
Okay,
So we'll continue it
So
to the
then
January meeting.
this will be continued to January. The January meeting, which is
I'm looking.
January 20th.
That's right.
Okay. Item 3,
Excuse
continue to
me,
review and possible.
excuse me, Tony. I think we need a vote.
I think we do have to vote.
Continue it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought we could just put it, okay.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to continue this to the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Okay. Bruce,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
and Ryan,
Yes.
and Tony's a yes, okay. The review and recommendation for the final claim Phase 3 subdivision will be moved to the January 20th Planning Commission meeting. Number 3, continued review and possible recommendation of town council regarding subdivision, the lot amendment to Hideout Canyon Lot 37.
This
I
one is
believe,
also-
Tom,
That one's,
correct me if I'm wrong, but this is also going to be, we're going to continue this because I don't believe they've even gotten permission from the neighbor.
That's correct. They owe us some additional information with regard to site triangles, retaining wall heights, and confirmation that their neighbor understands exactly what their proposal is. And so they don't have all of that information yet. And so we're also recommending that this be continued to a date certain, January 20th of 2022.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion in that regard?
I'll make a motion that we recommend to continue this until the next meeting or until we have their information on a timely basis.
Does anybody second that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Bruce,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Tony's yes. Okay, item 3 will be continued to January 20th, Planning Commission meeting. Item number 4, continued review and possible recommendation of town council regarding subdivision lot amendment to Hideout Canyon Lot R3.
This is also
Is this,
being recommended
is
for
this-
continuation.
yeah. Okay.
This is,
Is this the one where the road went through the other lot and
that's
um,
correct. So I don't
and
think
there's-
that the planning commission had any major issues with what the applicant was proposing, kind of moving their driveway off to the side. I think that generally, I think that people think that that makes sense. The issues are a little bit larger, that there are some other lots with similar challenges in terms of the driveway location and the fact that for this subdivision to be amended, we really should clean up the road. And so we really need to work with the larger master developer and kind of get that tidied up. So this one would be continued to a date certain, January 20th, 2022 as well.
it wasn't there a
Somebody
little
like-
issue of no sewer?
And we're also working with TO Engineering Ryan to get a better understanding as to timing of sewer connections, hookups. Yes, you're correct.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to continue this to January 20th?
I'll make the motion to continue this to the next meeting.
Thank
I'll
you,
second.
Bruce. Anybody second it?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, Bruce,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Tony's a yes. Okay, therefore, item 4 will also be continued to January 20th, 2022. Okay. Item 5, the agenda items, presentation and discussion of initial concept plan of a planned community development project on the Southman property. Basically, this is the Skyhawk staff report that you issued, right, Thomas?
That's correct. And I can walk you through this pretty quickly, but then this one is, I'll turn it over to McKay. I think McKay is on, and maybe Todd. I can't see everybody on my screen right now, but the developers, and they can kind of answer questions, walk you through much more, many more details than I can provide for you. But I just wanted to make sure that we'll give you a quick outline and then turn it over to them and then open for discussion. This is a concept plan for your review, and we're not looking for action tonight. But we would like to get some input from everybody with regard to this. So
I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions for them.
You take a look. Is this Alicia or Kathleen controlling the screen? I'm sorry.
It's Alicia.
Hi, Alicia. Could you just go back to that map real quickly? I just want to make sure that everybody understands where this is. The area that you see kind of highlighted in red down there, that's the area. It's about 107 acres. It is really the last major developable piece of land within the town of Hideout boundaries. And so just for reference in terms of location, you'll see it overlaid on the zoning map there.
And there's one big single family house on it today, is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it, what am I saying? Is there a pretty good slope all
It's
along
got-
that curve?
I know that the developers have done a slope analysis. Some areas have pretty significant slope, but there are some also really developable, relatively flat areas, and flat is relative to the Wasatch Back and or Hideout, right? But developable, right? And so, yeah, there are some, and they've done a pretty thorough slope analysis, and they're continuing to dig into that endeavor as well. You can go to the next page, Alicia, thanks. So again, it's 107 acres right now. It's zone mountain. The allowed density is 1 unit per acre. That'd probably be about 85-ish single family units once road infrastructure is put in, because lots do require a full acre. The proposed concept density is for 610 units. And I'll get to that concept plan in a moment and kind of show you that detail. Generally, what they're proposing is keeping that large house, turning that into a bed and breakfast, putting a hotel on the site, and kind of a combination of housing typologies, some single families, some duplexes, triplexes, quads, and sixplexes, I think. So there's a real variety of housing that is proposed in this concept plan. And we'll walk through that as I get to the actual plan. So some of the issues and concerns that have been brought up to date, and some issues and concerns that that your town planner, town engineer have discussed are, it is a significant increase in density. And so we want to make sure that as we walk through this, the last piece of really large developable land within the community, short of any annexation, that we understand what the gives and gets are for this kind of requested concept, which would require a pretty significant upzone. So that's really where we think this project is starting tonight with all of you. Certainly town council will be involved. Todd and McKay, the developers, they've been great to work with to date. And so we're looking forward to working with them on this project. They're here tonight again. They'll chime in just a second, but we just walked through some of the issues that we felt were worth addressing. The second was, the current concept doesn't have much commercial. It does have a hotel, which would certainly probably have a restaurant and bar, et cetera, but it doesn't really have commercial beyond that. And one of the most requested items pursuant to the town public open houses, input, and surveys during the general planning process was the one thing that we want is a town center. Certainly the potential annexation Silver Meadows property offers commercial opportunities, but we don't know what's going to happen with that since it's in litigation. That's probably a year out, number one, and two, we don't know where that's going to land. And so given that this is your last piece of large developable property, it may offer or the only opportunity for town center village commercial. So thinking about carving out a piece for maybe the town, carving out a piece that is required to be commercial on the part of the developers. There's a lot of ways to kind of peel back the layers of that onion, but we think that some commercial is important in this area, just given the demand and the requests from the community. And then really the third item that was noted is the disconnection between the east and west part of town because of State Road 248. And so an opportunity to get a tunnel or connect the east to the west would be a pretty important component. This will be the last opportunity to make any connections from the east to the west. And so some kind of partnership between the town and the developers may offer that opportunity to finally connect trails and bikeways under or potentially over, under is probably easier, 248. That's also incorporated within the Parks, Open Space and Trails Master Plan that you all recommended to council last month and that was adopted by council in December, last week, actually. Then if you scroll down, oh yeah, there were a couple of other issues I had left off. Just some of the open space, just making sure that as we all work through and work with the developers, that we look at areas to kind of leave untouched, to leave as buffers. You know, this one's pretty close to the bottom, the southern side of Golden Eagle, and just making sure we have the right buffers to protect both neighborhoods and kind of create that sense of separation, places for natural vegetation to remain and or trails and other park areas to be incorporated, maybe passive park areas. And then infrastructure was the last one. Todd and McKay know that they've got to figure out the water rights in this area. That'll be important, and road infrastructure and utility infrastructure. They're looking at a public improvement district for this area. That would have to be something that is reviewed by the Planning Commission and approved by the Town Council. They've already had pretty significant input and discussions on that. I think they're pretty well underway, but that's something that would likely come back before you all as well as Town Council. And then really just next steps. This is an opportunity for you to meet the developers. It's an opportunity for you to really kind of talk about these gives and gets and what we want to see in that area. And to start thinking about opportunities for partnership and collaboration. This really is an opportunity for win-win, I think, at the end of the day. And so this is the start of that. And if you have any specific questions for me, I am certainly here to answer them. I know Jan is on the line. She's worked with Todd and McKay as well. Polly is on. She's pretty familiar with this project and maybe a little bit more familiar with me in terms of public improvement districts, if you had questions regarding that. And Ryan from TO Engineering is on if you really have any detailed engineering and or infrastructure questions beyond what I have outlined.
I have a quick question. A hotel. What I know you pay a hotel tax whenever you stay in a hotel. Is that a significant amount of that come to us, or not
Well,
significant, but an amount?
That would be, we'd have to go through a fiscal impact analysis and work with the developers on that. But I think the short answer is yes, this is not part of MIDA or any overlay district. And so the sales tax generated from any commercial or a hotel overnight stays would benefit the town economically, certainly.
So do they have a size in mind for the hotel? How many rooms?
I think they were looking at, was it 130? But I think McKay or Todd will tell you more specifically. They can chime in at any moment.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
This is McKay Christensen. And my partner, Todd Amberry, is also on the line. We're both the developers represent Skyhawk. Thomas, I don't know if do you have the concept that Alicia, are you,
Yeah.
if you're scrolling
Yeah,
the
we can
monitor?
scroll to the
down.
very end. It's at the very end of this document, Alicia.
And Thomas, I don't want to interrupt what you have going on. So if you're done, we're happy to jump in and
McKay, this is an opportunity for partnership, collaboration, chime in. And
Right.
yeah, I wasn't quite sure of the hotel number. I forgot, actually.
Yeah. Why don't I? So the short answer to that is, and then I'll give a quick overview. The short answer is the large building at the very tip top. That's a 144 bed hotel. We've already met with one potential operator who flew out from back east and took a look at the site. They, based off their input and based off our experience, we probably are going to land somewhere between 120 and 160 beds. Is typical of what I think most hotel operators would want to have.
Not while I'm on this. I can't even.
To back up just maybe one step, Todd and I, we've been on this project now for I would say over a year, really. Our conversations actually began on a separate parcel within Hideout that we were looking at, and love the area, love the town of Hideout. We are, we're California transplants. Todd is actually from Denver, but we've lived here in Utah now for 25 years, and familiar with the market, very familiar with the market. And like I said, initially began talking about one parcel, and as we began talking about that parcel, we ended up moving over to this one. In the process of doing that, though, I feel like we built a pretty good relationship with Jan, and then also with the mayor. And in the course of our conversations, we got a pretty good picture of what it was that the city of Hideout wanted. And obviously, with all the residents that you have there, we're not purporting to say that we know everything. But two of the main directives that came out of those meetings, or the feelings, I think, that the sentiment that came out of it, is that the city is really looking for two things at a minimum. One is commercial, that you just, there's not a tax base there. It needs something to provide some type of commercial base. Thomas touched on, a retail center and things like that I know that you're potentially looking at with the other property that may be annexed in. The other thing that came out of those conversations was amenities, that expanding the trail system, and some of it, I think, is born out of frustrations with the overall, with Bob Martino, but and the overall development, but it just in general, a community that is highly amenitized. And so based on that, we began negotiations with the Salzman family. It's about 112 acres, give or take. And what we tried to do when Todd and I sat down and we began planning the area out, what we really, really wanted to do was to create a community that we felt like had some of the components that the city is looking for, and also accomplish the things that we need, obviously, as a developer. Our vision for the area is to create a development that really has the same kind of feeling as a Tuhey or a Red Ledges or a Victory Ranch. We obviously don't have the room for golf, but we want to create a highly amenitized community that is connected by trails. If we were to just quickly run through some of the amenities that we're offering, that has a pool, pickleball court. We've got that lake kind of in the middle of it that could be used for paddleboarding and a quaint little beachfront type of atmosphere. We actually have two hotels that we're proposing on site. We've got the one hotel that I already mentioned before. There's a 14,000 square foot estate. It's a beautiful, beautiful home that we plan on turning into a boutique hotel. And as a part of that boutique hotel would bring in a restaurant. We've talked about, as some component of that, is there a way of even bringing in elements of like a general store where you could at least get milk and the necessities? I know that is something that the city desperately needs, so you don't have to hike all the way into town to get a gallon of milk. And then with that, we have, 5 or 6 different, we've got about 6 different product types that hit just different sizes of, single family detached homes that and we can step through those if you have any questions on them. But without droning on about it, that's the overall ideas. We're trying to create a highly amenitized master plan community that also offers some commercial components. A restaurant, we imagine in the boutique hotel having a restaurant. We can see in the large hotel having a restaurant. And we'll have a clubhouse, like I said, pickleball courts, pool, and some of those other things. So I guess with that as a basic framework, you guys can launch into any questions that you have, and Todd and I would be happy to answer whatever you've got.
Thanks, McKay.
I'd like to say my first concern again is we brought it up at the beginning, is a commercial area. And I like the idea of like you said, a hotel. It brings in a tax base, it brings in a restaurant. We do have one right down the street with Black Rock, but we don't receive any tax revenue from that. I'd like to see a little more commercial. I mean, it's what we need. And a grocery, a little gallon of milk is fine. We can go 4 miles up to the food town in Camas for that. But I'd like to see something a little more upscale as far as commercial.
Maybe there could be some kind of trade-off for each retail space that is put in, X number of, how do you do the units where, one living unit is, what I'm talking about, Thomas?
Yeah, like an equivalent residential unit, kind of.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Create a formula between commercial and residential.
Yes, yes. And then that way, we would be a little more balanced, because right now, I'm sort of picking up on what Donna said. It's a lot more homes or residential units than it is commercial. And I think the balance kind of needs to come the other way a little bit.
Okay. We can work on that.
Yeah, this is Bruce Wolfley. I like the idea of the hotel and the condo units. That's something different that we don't have in town. What we do have in town is an awful lot of townhouses and not multifamily, but
5 plexes, 6 plexes, 4 plexes.
Yeah. So, I also agree. I think if we had, wouldn't have to be that big, 5 to 10 kind of boutique type stores that had some sort of a theme that fits, with the name Hideout and the kind of the concept that you're going with. That would be right up where we really need to go. I'd also like to see kind of a year-round use of that pond, where not only could we paddle board and do some water sports in the summer, but use it for a skating facility in the winter. That would be great. The other thing that's lacking in town from an amenity perspective is we don't have cross-country types trails, so having some trails that would interconnect and that we could get groomed so that you can do some some snow sports in the wintertime. I think it's a big draw. Summer times are great, but still people are coming out here for the winter, I would think, especially to the hotel. The concept's pretty good. I agree with the other commissioners. It's an awful lot of density, which is not what we need. We need to see a much bigger swing towards the commercial end. And as far as the connectivity, I see you've got 2 egresses, egress spots, which is great. I wondered if we could somehow connect into Golden Eagle as well, because right now I don't know that they have a second egress out of that development. But some sort of a connection through there would be high on my list. And as Thomas noted, the underpass would be really great so that people from both sides of town can commute back and forth, either walking, biking, or taking a golf cart, whatever.
The west egress, Alicia, can you slide over the map just a tad? No, the
I
other
think
way.
that's the existing driveway probably, right?
Oh, so where is that relative to the Hideout Canyon Trail?
The Hideout, yeah, the Hideout Trail Road.
Yeah, yeah. How much farther up the road?
It's, McKay, do you know exactly the distance? I don't know the distance. The North Hideout Trail Road is just a little bit north of there.
Yeah.
Am I correct? It's not far.
No, it isn't far. I think that you're enough. It's a safe distance, I think, for UDOT to be able to, and it's already an accepted access into the property. I don't think UDOT is going to object to its location, but it's not that far from Hideout Trail. You're talking about the main entrance into Hideout, right, where the offices
That's
are, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's a couple hundred yards down the street. It's not very far.
Mm.
It would really be good if you could line them up, because I think at
Yeah.
one point in time, they're talking about a light by Hideout Canyon and the entrance there onto Hideout Trail. So if they could line up, or at least be close enough to when they do sometime in the future put a light, that road would be, part of that intersection, that would be great.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah,
take a look
that-
at this on the larger map that you had? There was if you scroll back a couple
Oh,
screens.
yeah.
The map.
You'll have to just
Yeah, it's-
zoom in a little
yeah.
bit, Alicia, but I
Better way
think
to-
it's a little bit off actually. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure McKay and Todd would have enough property to get quite that far north, I think.
Oh.
Hey, Thomas, this is Todd, and I'm not sure why my camera doesn't work, but it's 844 feet
Okay.
from center line to
Mm.
center line, from the existing access to actually from both existing access points.
And there would be no way to get down closer.
Yeah, and we would love to have you guys all come up. We take a site visit and come look at the site. You can see based off that we've got that entrance just right at the northernmost part of the property. Number one, and then number two, once you tour the site, you recognize that we're dealing with quite a bit of grade, and so the site actually, what you get on top of it, it's got a nice little plateau to it, but we have to enter in at the right spot in order to climb. And you can see where we're coming in. It's no wonder the entrance has been there for decades, because it just runs with the topography, so we're able to chase that grade back up to the top. I don't know that that we'd be able to move it to line up with Hideout Trail.
Where is Hideout Trail on this map that we're looking at?
Where's- Yeah.
Alicia, I think it's a little hard to tell on here, but I think that if you bring your cursor down
To the green.
to the green that's next to if you keep coming down.
It's probably right where that those two pieces of green meet, just
Mhm.
above the red line, across from the red line.
Just a little above the red line on the right at the top of that green, the most bottom part green.
Down.
Keep
down.
going down, Alicia. Go down toward the very
Down.
bottom of what's visible on your map. Keep going down, 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 down. Keep going
Yep,
down, down.
right there.
Right around there. Yep.
Right there. Okay.
Mm. Mm. Would there be a way that that we could do it from our side? Our side, the
Hideout Canyon's fine.
Hideout Trail? I don't know.
No, we'll look. We can look into it. We'll Todd and McKay and I, we can start to play with that a little bit and get Ryan involved with TO engineering. But I think it's going to be a little too far away that we can't make the connection. And if we get it too close, then you actually want it further away. If there's a chance you could have two lights, UDOT will actually mandate a certain separation. So we'll have to play with those two parameters in mind.
And what is the property on the other side of the red line there?
Golden Eagle.
Is that Golden Eagle?
Yeah. That's Soaring Hawk is, I want to say to the, well, no, that's all Golden Eagle. All the yellow above us. I want to say Bob has about 400 single family lots that are all right above us. And they kind of, frankly, they look down right on top of us at that edge. Yep. Right where that red line is.
That's right.
And what is how does Soaring Hawk get in and out? What's their?
Soaring Hawk is, Alicia, if you kind of go to the top left of your screen, right, keep go left, right down a little, keep going down, right there. That little area is Soaring Hawk, and they have their own ingress egress.
I was just wondering if they would be amenable to putting something in that came out right across the way from.
I think Bob probably, I don't know what Bob's connection issue. I mean, it would seem, I haven't looked at his property, but it would seem like he could probably, I mean, if there was an opportunity for an egress for Bob to take, it would be up through Golden Eagle and out through Soaring Hawk. I don't know if he's planning on making that connection or not, but he does have his entrance, as you know, is just to the east of ours. He lines up almost directly with Tuhey.
Oh,
and yeah, so and I mean, speaking candidly, I don't think we would want all 400 of his single family lots coming down through the development. And I think that there's probably other opportunities for him to get out and through the properties that he owns. That's my guess.
And we'll want to kind of coordinate connections for Golden Eagle and, the Skyhawk development and or Soaring Hawk as well with Ryan. I know that Ryan's been working with them to try to make a connection between Golden Eagle and Soaring Hawk, and maybe it could be there's a portion of Golden Eagle that ends up connecting here. I understand you don't want the traffic coming through, but I mean, there are probably a combination of opportunities to make connections and ensure safe ingress, egress, and EMS traffic.
Yeah, even if it, at the very least, if we could do some sort of a fire road, so that it was an emergency in egress and ingress.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if they could connect to Hideout Trail Road, whatever it's called, and then actually they would want to go out that way. They wouldn't come through you, right?
That's right. It would be north of this Skyhawk.
Yeah.
No,
so
that's a big cliff there.
Oh.
Yeah, topo's going to be tough up
Yeah,
there.
that's right. I'm visualizing it. Okay.
Thanks for your input. I don't know, Todd or McKay or any other planning commissioners, if you have any questions or thoughts, don't hesitate to certainly reach out to me at any time. If you're kind of looking at this over the course of the next week or so and something comes into your mind, don't hesitate to shoot it my way, because we're going to continue working with the developers. Yeah, and Thomas, I just would maybe end on one little, just a thought that as you guys have gone through this, that we hopefully, it's a difficult thing. I know this is the first time that you guys are taking a look at it, and it takes time to digest. And it certainly takes a lot of time to try to understand a concept plan that looks like just a bunch of little blocks on a green page, right? Like it's very hard to catch the vision of what's happening sometimes. Coming into this, I will just say getting a hotel will be no easy feat. It will be very, very, very challenging. Primarily because and we've spent a lot of time talking to the Planning Commission and others within the city, with Thomas and with Jan and others. But, the uphill battle that we're going to have here is that we don't have a golf course and we don't have ski in, ski out capabilities. And so from a hotel standpoint, we're going to have to figure out how we sell, what story there is to tell here, how this is a destination, how this is a great location
for a hotel that's not currently in the market, when they have other opportunities, whether it's down at the canyons or up at Deer Valley, even though the opportunities are limited, as you know, it's just so much, there's only so much ground going around, but it's going to be a challenge. And so Todd and I, as we've looked at this, and candidly, restaurants will be a challenge. And beyond that, any retail whatsoever will be enormously difficult. And the only reason I say that is we do a lot of retail. We're doing a lot of retail right now. We've got outlet malls that we've built. We've got commercial that we're doing right now. And the challenge is always, and we went over, Thomas and Jan, we went over this the other day, but they have the very simple metrics that they follow, and they take these little concentric rings and they go out 1, 3, 5, 7 miles, and they say, okay, what is the population within these rings? And what are the traffic counts? What is the visibility? And what is the income? And we don't have any of that in terms of population. The income is there. We don't have the population. We don't have the accessibility or the visibility. And so I feel you. I completely feel you. And I know the idea. I get the picture and the image in your mind that you have about, coming up to this charming place that at a time like this, like during Christmas time, where whether it's, ice skating on a skating rink and having a cup of coffee and looking out over the views and having some type of village core. We get it. We've created those. I totally understand it. We want to get there. We absolutely want to get to that same village concept feel that you imagine in your minds. And I believe that we can. The challenge that we're going to have to get there is how much of that is going to be retail. Like when we start talking about retail, like what's the gross square footage of retail that we think could survive, and what is it, right? Like, okay, well, what use is actually going to survive up here if it's not an absolute destination? A restaurant, in like, say we put a really wonderful restaurant in that boutique hotel. If we make that place a destination, I believe that people can come, but it's going to be an experience that's totally different than what's offered anywhere else around. And it's going to be a high hurdle to get there. To couple with that, a retail experience, I believe is going to be a challenge. I don't think it doesn't have the components that the market requires in this location to get there. Having said that, I still think that we can add enough components to it, whether it's we have, a restaurant in the hotel. We've got a restaurant here. We add, maybe there's a coffee shop component. One of the ideas that the economic development community tossed around is maybe there's a post where people go get all of their mail. I think that there are elements that we combine, as long as we understand that it's got to be within some kind of reason. Otherwise, we're going to end up building monuments to ourselves. We're going to have buildings that sit vacant and that we won't be able to lease. And so if you just keep that in mind, if you cooperate with us and we say, hey, look, we can create some of that feel with a great clubhouse, with the way all of these pieces come together, the way the amenities come together with the hotel and with the restaurant, I think that we can get there. I just want you to hopefully keep some of that in the back of your mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, I think that the scale of commercial would have to be relatively small. I think that it does have to be unique, a bit destination, a bit local. It's probably got more of a restaurant entertainment component. But, even as I think, what are the opportunities for, what about if there were a post office, a library, a town hall? What if there were those kinds of opportunities to energize a little square that way, right? I think we should be open to all of that and just explore it. Yeah.
I'd like to speak to that for just a second, if you don't mind. This is Jan. I've been working on this project with McKay for quite a while, and also with the Economic Development Committee. And I appreciate McKay presenting tonight. One thing about destination development, it's the most potent form of municipal finance, because to bring people to the town who spend money and leave results in sales tax and doesn't require the infrastructure costs that are so costly, the police and just the sewer, everything that goes along with servicing community members. So this is one piece of a bigger picture. And I think next steps would be involving Thomas and the Planning Commission in a bigger view of the community. And I think we're going to have to collaborate with Nate and with Maida and work to get more of the puzzle pieces collaboratively rather than relying on one particular developer. And there are cash flows that can come from Maida. We can bond on the cash flows, and we can work with Nate in putting in commercial projects that go hand in hand with this hotel concept. So I think those conversations should begin in January, and we've talked to the Economic Development Committee and with Thomas about leading some of those discussions. And I think this is just one little piece of the puzzle of solving sustainable cash flows in town hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well
I'd
said.
like to make a comment. Well, I think this concept looks very pretty. The one thing I'm noticing is that I think if we're going to do some commercial, it'd be better off being near the entrances to the community. We've got people driving along 248 going, from Camas going to Park City. We've got people going from Park City to go to the Uintas. So there is a lot of traffic going on 248. The way this is designed, people won't know that these elements are there because they're back in the back side of the neighborhood. So if there were things, if the commercial was built visibly closer to 248, I think that would make more sense. And also, like, as far as having residential right along the road makes it noisy for the residents anyway. So I think, to me, this design, I think it could, if we were going to add some commercial elements, that they would be closer to the road rather than tucked away.
Rachel, I think that's a good point from a marketability standpoint. There's no doubt about it. And again, if you guys have time, I think it would really be helpful to get out on site. Todd and I will make ourselves available at any point to walk the site, get up. You can walk through the estate that's up there. We can walk the property, and you can see and maybe even when you drive home tonight, well, you guys are probably all at home, but the next time that you're up there, we come in off that road, that there's a UDOT setback. We don't own the land. You can see that there's a setback. We don't actually, our land doesn't pick up until we get probably 50 feet off the ground or something like that. Maybe not quite that high, but it's very narrow, it's very steep, and there's a gully that's right off our entrance. It's just, and we don't own the vast majority of the property that's right up there. That's why we've kind of climbed up to a certain plateau and that's where we begin the residential up there. But I agree with what it is that you're saying. And we've talked with Thomas and Jan, and we've got a couple ideas that we may be able to toss around on how we try to get there.
Hey, if we put rather than a tunnel, a pedestrian bridge over, we could put on the pedestrian bridge gateway to the Uintas. Hideout, gateway to the Uintas.
There you go. And what I just wanted to interject real quickly, I mean, we can't forget about Tuhey.
Yeah, right.
It's right across the street. Wouldn't it be great to have some sort of commercial besides a restaurant, but they have a clubhouse and a restaurant. So they're not really going to be too interested in going across the street to a restaurant at another hotel resort. But if you had some other commercial, I work with a lot of people that live around Park City or live in Park City. And they're like, why can't we just get like some sort of Trader Joe's? Hideout will redeem themselves if they get some sort of Trader Joe's. And I'm like, I'm trying. So, I mean, wouldn't that be great if there was something across the street? I mean, Tuhey, and then you have all of Golden Eagle. That's not even done, I just think, and people, like you said, coming back and forth from Camas, and anesthesiologist I worked with just bought 10 acres out by Francis and lives out there. I mean, it isn't just people who are ranchers that are going back and forth. So it's really, we need to be forward thinking. Yes, the resorts, I think the hotel is a very nice idea. I like that. I like the pond. I like the condo hotel. That's great. The ice skating is a great point, Bruce. I love that. Cross-country skiing, that would be wonderful, but it's kind of hilly, I would assume. I mean, that's what it looks like from the road. But, we can't forget about our neighbors. I mean, they're going to be visiting. So let's do something that they would visit also.
And my thought, and it obviously has to be financially viable, but, you create the type of retail shops that aren't easily or anywhere in the in the whole area. Like, where is there a fishmonger? Where is there a butcher? I think there's now a butcher down in Kimball Junction. A cheese shop, something that people would go out of their way to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, there's a cafe there. I can have a cup of coffee and look at the beautiful view. It's that kind of thing. I know it's very difficult from a planning perspective when, to get those specific businesses in, because it has to be financially viable, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of my idea for this little, have 5 or 6 or, kind of boutique things that would draw people to it. Doesn't have to be a restaurant per se. You don't want a restaurant for the hotel, that's for sure. But maybe smaller shops that offer specialty items that aren't in the area, or that you might have to go all the way to Salt Lake for.
Right.
Mhm, mhm.
But I would like to visit the site.
Yeah.
With this weather, I'm not 100% sure it would be a good time. I don't mind. I mean, I have snowshoes. I can snowshoe up there. That's perfectly fine. But I would really like to visit that. So that would be something I would like to do too.
We'll have Trader Joe's peppermint Oreos for you waiting.
Okay.
JoJo's.
Could you just explain? I
That's
saw
not
on the
a
map.
ride, is it?
Todd or McKay, could you explain? I saw on the map that there were some housing that was called casitas. Are those single family homes with like a detached or attached apartments? What do you consider a casita?
No, it's for lack of a better phrase, it's a single family detached home. The best kind of example I can give would be Promontory's trapper cabins. I don't know if you're familiar with the trapper cabins up at Promontory. I would say that's probably the best analogy. It's an HOA maintained single family detached community.
Okay, thank you.
And just add a little color to that. They're going to be smaller homes, like you said, fully HOA maintained. It could be a move down buyer. It could be an age targeted buyer. It could be a variety of different types of buyers. It's just something different than the typical estate lot, kind of custom home type subdivision.
Yeah, and you see in communities like Promontory, that's why we're trying to provide a little bit of a range of product types. That is one of the smaller product types that we would provide. But you see in Promontory, those things are selling for $1.8 million. I mean, they're not, when Todd talks about move down, it's not a move down in price, it's a move down in lifestyle, right? It's in these, amenitized communities. You want to have something where someone doesn't need 5 bedrooms, right?
What are the lots over to the right? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 47, 46, 45. What's that over there?
Those are estate lots.
Okay, I know at one point you talked about the possibility of having amenities open to other residents. Is that something that's still possibly in the works? Is it viable?
Yes, Todd and I have talked a lot about that, and that's part of this conversation and plan that we want to put together is how much of this is for the community itself and how much of it is for just the general, for all of Hideout. And that's why when we talk about the amenities and the lifestyle that it's creating, we want to make sure that we're helping in that way.
The gazebo that's in the middle there, Donna, your neighbor, is it Allison, that gets all the people that come and we have music in the summer? Like,
Dynamite.
if there were a place to have music in the summer or to have events or that kind of thing, then Hideout would be a destination for those events.
We love that idea. Again, I think getting you up on site, walking through the estate. First of all, that estate looks like a little it's 14,000 square feet. If we get you guys up in there and we start kind of just showing how this whole thing lays out and what it could be, I think you'll start to catch the vision. When you're looking at a 2D picture and it feels so static like this, it's really hard to catch the vision of what it actually looks like, But I agree with you. Absolutely. I think something like that, a venue where you can have someone come in during the summertime, play music in an outdoor place. I don't know if we're talking about I don't know, in our minds, we're thinking about a concert venue, but something where you can get the community up there and have a dinner, have a drink, whatever, and listen to music.
I'd rather go there than Deer Valley.
Or even like as far as wedding venues for the hotel. That's really needed around here also. I mean, look at Blue Sky Ranch.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point, because I think it's going to take something like, Auberge wasn't in the market and they found an opportunity there at Blue Sky. And, it's going to take somebody who catches a vision of something like that to be able to come in. But there's no doubt, having a hotel that could also have that type of amenity, I agree.
So I don't know what the liquor laws are, but what about a liquor store? Would that be a hard thing to get approved to bring in? Because that would definitely get people to stop in the area and bring us some tax dollars.
A wine store.
I think you might have a better shot at converting town hall into a liquor store.
Rachel, that's something the town has control over, so you would have to recommend it to the town council, but that's part of the beauty of the municipality. You're in charge of those laws.
Well, I mean, but you need to go to the DABC to get approval.
Right.
I also don't know that you actually get tax dollars from it. I think it just all goes to the state, although I'm not 100% sure about that. But it is an attraction. I don't know how hard it is to get a liquor store.
Especially with one down in Camas right now. It just enlarged. But I think this has got a lot of
that one is
potential.
actually not state owned. That's privately owned.
How do they do that?
That I don't know, but I know it's not actually state owned.
Okay.
Well, there's Tony. You could just sell moonshine out of your garage.
Yeah.
So what is the next step here? Are we gonna? I guess
So what we'll do is we'll coordinate with Todd and McKay, and I think that Jan's recommendation was quite good to maybe try to get maybe a bit of a charrette together, and we'll come back with some ideas, and we'll bring this back. This was the first opportunity for Todd and McKay to present to you guys, to start to get input. As Jan noted, they've met with some other folks within the community. And so we just want to keep that dialogue open. And so next step would be to continue the dialogue with regard to the concept plan. And ultimately, if something is, if that were to be approved, they would have to come back for a rezoning application for this site as well, because with the existing zoning is not equipped to handle this kind of density. So we'll look at density. We'll look at some gives and gets there. We'll start to look at the commercial opportunities. You guys noted some really good recreational components with regard to winter sports, et cetera. So we'll take all of that into consideration and try to coordinate with them and see what any revisions that might be incorporated into this before bringing it back.
Good idea. Thanks, Thomas.
And thanks, Todd and McKay. I think we can work together to have a nice community there.
Yeah.
Great. We're looking forward to it. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Take
We
care.
appreciate the input.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, McKay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. See ya.
Okay. There was one last item on the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the meeting schedule for 2022? Does anybody have any issues with that? So then everybody would be fine with that to go forward with that?
Sure.
I think that sounds fine.
I don't know if we'll be able to do one on St. Patrick's Day. How many Irish people do we have? Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day, aren't they?
Yes.
Well,
We could always work around certain things. Bruce.
Yeah. And this is basically maintaining the third Thursday of the month for the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You know, maybe by that time, Bruce will be able to have a meeting, you know, on the road, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, we could have a green meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There being no further issues, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a
Do we
motion.
actually, excuse me, do we need a motion to actually adopt this schedule?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
I apologize for my lack of.
Okay, so
Whatever.
I'll make a
Okay,
motion.
so somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2022 annual meeting schedule for the Planning Commission of Hideout, Utah.
I'll second.
Okay, Bruce,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Tony's a yes. Okay, therefore we will adopt the 2022 annual meeting schedule for the Planning Commission. Okay, now, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll
Also
make a motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second
it. Well,
Okay.
we can't get there fast
Bruce?
enough tonight.
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
and Tony's a yes. Okay, folks, thank you very much. Everybody have a happy and safe holiday season. And we'll see you all next year.
Thank you. Merry
Sounds
Christmas.
good.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye all.
Bye, good night.